Welcome to the Big Play Tailgate, Week 18 in the NFL with Ryan Tyler, Bob Golick. I'm Tony Zarella. Chucky Booms is on assignment. And you know it's a big game, Ryan, when Bob Golick shows up for the final week of the season with not one, but two digital devices.
And my phone, too.
Now, Bob, do you know how to use both of those?
No, they just said put them up and look at them once in a while, and I said I can do that.
What are you buying?
But you know I'm bidding. You know, you can tell it's a big game when I'm wearing my Notre Dame colors.
Yeah, congrats on that.
I got the blue and greens. Notre Dame kicked butt last night. I couldn't believe that they handled Georgia that way.
Yeah, I believe it. Been a kind of a bizarre year, Ryan, for Georgia. We're going to talk about the Buckeyes, the college football playoff, a lot of stuff here. Guys who should be playing that aren't playing. We'll break that down as well. But Ryan, we limp into Baltimore to close this out. Give me a reason to get excited about this.
Tony, I'm trying to find a reason, and the only one that I can think of is I think 20 points is free money. We'll get into that later. But other than that, Tony, limping is honestly maybe you're sugarcoating it. I think they're crawling, fighting for their lives at this moment, and it's going to end on probably another sad note. But at the end of the day, we get to watch Bailey Zappi play football. Let's get excited about that,
That's
I suppose.
right. The Bailey Zappi era begins. Bob Golick, Ryan mentioned it. 20 points for a point spread.
I know this surprised a lot of people, but I'm picking the Browns. And
20. No.
Stunning.
And 20 today. You know, this is the Bailey Zappi thing. I think most of us kind of forgot that he was even on the team. But he's under contract, so if he has a halfway decent game today, he may be the guy next year.
How many times have we said that?
They're going to spend the offseason try to find somebody who can be a backup to Bailey Zappi. Why does he sound like a cartoon character?
You know,
I shouldn't make fun of somebody's name, but it's kind of weird.
We've been in this position so many times with the quarterbacks, and you get to the end of the year, and the fourth guy, Bruce Gretkowski, is out there playing for the Browns. It's mind-numbing, and it really opens up a bigger issue. Is what do they do with that position moving forward? What do they do?
Well, the options are, I suppose, a free agent veteran. Kirk Cousins in the news. I don't think that really gets anybody too excited. Or the NFL draft. You're looking at a top 3 pick, assuming the Browns lose, and I think that's pretty much a guarantee at this point. Are you a Shador guy, a Cam Ward guy? Neither could be a franchise quarterback. We don't know. I guess it's up to Andrew Berry to decide that. Now, does that give me confidence? Of course it doesn't. But at the end of the day, it's either that or, like I mentioned, a Kirk Cousins, kind of along the same model of Russell Wilson. But I don't even think that's enough to juice the team. I mean, we're sitting here talking about Myles Garrett potentially playing his last season with the Browns. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. But something has to change in that quarterback room to get Myles to want to be a Cleveland Brown.
The thing that I'm concerned about, though, if we go with Cousins, is that going to be considered nepotism?
He is Kevin's baby.
Bob,
what?
3-13. It's the worst record, obviously, since the winless season.
Yeah.
We've been through a lot of these together, doing tailgate shows.
That's why we're still smiling.
That's right. I mean, if you don't laugh, you cry. But the fact is, if you look at the room and where they're going to be, if you propel to next July when they kick off camp, I mean,
I'd like that to be as slow as possible. I don't want to do any propelling.
I understand. I mean, so Deshaun is going to restructure and come back, and of course with the Achilles, he's really not in play anyway, so it's kind of a moot argument. Yeah. Other than the fact that you can't jettison him away, he's still lurking in the background, and you can't imagine a scenario where he ever plays for the Browns again. Yeah. So what do we do?
Well, first off, let's get off of Deshaun because they gave him a contract. They wanted him bad. He had earned a big contract because of the way he was playing down in Houston. He came in here believing that he could do the same thing as he did in Houston. Obviously, the team, the coaches, everybody thought he could do the same thing he did down in Houston, but it didn't pan out. And I think that even now, he's probably, he's going to restructure. But I don't think he even. I'd be surprised if a guy who was not really mobile, coming off of an Achilles tendon tear, is going to come back again. So I think if anything else, I think they'll have him in the background, maybe sitting back in case of an emergency.
Now, I think what I would love to see is you go get Kirk Cousins. All it costs is more money. Haslam prints money. That's not an issue. And I'd still like to draft a quarterback. I think if you go into next season with a quarterback room with Deshaun Watson, who, of course, will be the third quarterback, I don't think he's going to play another snap in Cleveland. You have Kirk Cousins to start. You can use him as a bridge for maybe a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the next season is going to be this magical revival of this offense, but I think if anything, it gives people like Miles, guys like Joel Bitonio, a reason to stick around in Cleveland, perhaps. And then if by halfway mark, Kirk Cousins doesn't look to be the answer, well, you got Cam Ward or you got Shedeur Sanders, and at least at that point, going into the 2026 season, you have a little bit of sliver of hope there.
You know, from the fans' perspective too, this looks no different than I don't know how many other off seasons. I mean, once again, we've got a chance possibly to have the number 1 draft pick and destroy a young quarterback before he becomes a superstar. I mean, we've done that a long. Hey, Brady Quinn could have been something.
Okay, Notre Dame.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, but from the player standpoint, we're all just, and from the fan standpoint, we're all just kind of. It feels no different. I mean, we thought there was hope because of the quarterback situation and Miles and all the guys we're grabbing onto, trying to get some semblance of talent. And but I don't think going into the offseason, I don't think the fans are looking at it any different than they have in the past.
But that's the worst part. They weren't supposed to be in this position. And you're both making perfect sense. And by the way, the Deshaun thing is a fiscal decision. I mean, it's just not feasible to cut him. I mean, you just can't. It doesn't mean he'll ever play again for the Browns. It just means you put him off. I mean, it's what you got to do. Right? And you move forward, and you're right. You add to the quarterback room, and maybe you get a guy, you're picking high. I mean, what was Bo Nix in the draft?
I believe he was 10, 11, or 12, right around there.
I mean, and the Broncos clearly have found their franchise guy. So, I mean, you can land on somebody. I get it. But we weren't supposed to be in this position. You mentioned Myles Garrett. Let's talk about that and much more when the tailgate rolls on. Back here on the tailgate, Ryan, you mentioned Myles Garrett. Of course, is Myles Garrett still the best defensive player in the NFL?
I think he's certainly the best defensive end in the NFL still. I mean, now you're seeing guys like Patrick Surtain, who's most likely going to win the Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, you compare Myles to TJ Watts, to the Micah Parsons, you look at the pressure rates. I still think the numbers will tell you Myles the best defensive end in football, and he's looking at now 4 straight seasons of 14-plus sacks. I believe 9 seasons or 8 seasons of 10-plus sacks. Just one time in his career, he hasn't reached that mark. I mean, just the longevity of what he's able to do, it's outstanding.
I mean, Bosa also one of those guys that is just they unleash him on quarterbacks, and he does such a great job. Is he the best one out there? I think there's a group of guys that are the best one out there, and that means we still want him here. I think one of the problems is because it's a team game. They've been trying to find somebody to go on the other side to draw some attention or get some pressure on the inside to get some attention away from Myles. But unfortunately, it never seems to happen that way.
Bob, you're a Browns legend, but respectfully, do not give me the team line, okay? If you're Myles Garrett, do you want to be traded?
Back then, no. Right now, yeah. I mean, I think the contract situations, the money they have now, I think he's gonna want to go out and go out with a bang and go somewhere else. We were more. I mean, we weren't looking for new contracts. We were just trying to finish up and stay in the league as long as possible. And the best way to do that was stay playing good at your own team. So it's changed a lot over the years.
I hate to say it, but if I'm Myles Garrett, I would want to be out of Cleveland. The deal, he has 2 years left on his deal, and it lines up perfectly for the Browns to show him a plan for the future. And if they can't do that, well, he's certainly going to be out. Now, he could request a trade and all that, but make no mistake about it, Myles Garrett is underpaid. He's underpaid for how dominant he is. And you're seeing what these defensive ends, the contracts they're getting. Myles Garrett, why would he want to stick around in Cleveland right now making less money than he could? And I understand he's extension eligible, and the Browns, if they're smart, that's another topic, they'll give him that extension. But if you're Myles Garrett, you could retire today and maybe be in the Hall of Fame. Myles Garrett wants nothing else. He reached 100 sacks than to go play meaningful football games. And right now, I'm not saying he's lying, but there's no way he truly believes right now that the Browns are in a position to go play meaningful games late in the season.
I agree. And other players have done it. And I'm not talking about Bernie going to Dallas and getting a ring, but it wasn't Bernie's choice to leave Cleveland. But other players, Ray Bork in hockey, finally had a phenomenal career in Boston, 20 years, and then you know what? He goes to Colorado and gets a ring.
Plus, you're not guaranteed to end up on a team that's got a chance. I mean, you could end up in the same situation. I mean, what if the Chiefs don't need you, or somebody that has a annual trip to the playoffs? I think you look at Joe Thomas. He spent all his time here, and he went right into the Hall of Fame. I got a feeling if Myles stayed and finished up here, he'd be shoo-in immediately. Probably would be anyway.
Yeah, of course he would. And Joe could have gone to Colorado to finish, and he didn't. And I respect that. But at some point, and you can speak better than I can about this, at some point when you put the time and effort in and you get, individual accolades, but you want to win.
Absolutely. It's the only thing that players who have already done what Myles Garrett has done every single day, I imagine, walking into camp, watching ever since the Greenbrier, really, when they watched Deshaun Watson play football and realized how bad he is, but was forced to go through this stink. And the stink isn't getting washed away easily. We know Deshaun Watson will be on the roster next year at the very least. He wants to go win. And he sees guys like Zadarius Smith, his teammate, go to Detroit, who now has a great opportunity to go win a ring. You don't think Myles thinks about that every day?
Yeah. When you get into practice or get into training camp, even at the beginning of the season, coming out of summer camp, you're already, because you know it's a team game, you're already looking at the guys around you. I mean, you're making sure you're playing the best. But, as a nose tackle, you're not going to be the one to put you over the top to, hey, we got a great nose tackle. We should win the Super Bowl this year. Nobody ever said that. But I don't think.
No, we did back in the day.
Did you really?
Here.
That is so nice.
Yes.
That is so nice.
I wasn't talking about you. But go ahead. No, you were already entrenched. I'm talking about 15 years ago when they added a big guy in the middle of the line. And you say, "Here we go."
But you look at it and you look at the guys around you. I mean, a lot of guys were friends and we know their families and their kids and all that stuff. But you wanted to make sure the guys that were coming into new positions were the best. And we would sit there and evaluate people. They put a new quarterback, and it's kind of like we'd sit there at night going, "Crap. I mean, what are they going to do?" I mean, we had no say into the movements, but we're aware. Most people are aware that it's a team game, and it's not the quarterback or it's not one person that's going to get you the Super Bowl.
Can you imagine what Myles, Pro Bowler, that's no surprise, but Jerry Jeudy is also going. And if you look at, I could look it up, Jerry Jeudy's numbers when Deshaun was in there and then post Deshaun, it puts together 1,000-yard receiving season in basically half a season.
I mean, it's the same thing as Amari Cooper. You watched him set career-high marks when Joe Flacco was at the helm, the 250-plus yard game when they played Houston in Houston last year. David Njoku with Joe Flacco. Every single receiver has thrived when a quarterback not named Deshaun Watson is throwing them the ball. And the same with Jerry Jeudy. You watched the 235-yard game in Denver against Denver. That had to feel great for him. And you think these players want to stick around in Cleveland when they know that they're losing money because they can't provide stats because they don't have a quarterback that can throw them the ball?
Say it all the time. Players want to get paid, and I don't just mean when they sign their contract. They want to get paid, and to get paid, here, these are my numbers, okay? And you're not getting the numbers. And by the way, we've broken it down so many times, and you mentioned, Ryan, you don't have faith in who's going to be making decisions that it would turn around quickly. Of course not. We've broken it down week after week about the problems upstairs with the Browns and having no confidence whatsoever that the current regime can fix this. Why would you?
And the more time that goes on, nothing seems to get fixed. Just like with the team, nothing upstairs. Well, first off, it doesn't seem like they're trying to fix anything upstairs. Now, you got Vrabel's out having a meeting with the Jets today, although that would be a stupid thing.
Do you think so?
I think I'd wait. I think they'll take him for the Patriots if he waits a little bit. Anyway, but. So we talk about not getting anything done, any positive stuff for the team. I think the front office also has to take a look at themselves. Can we look at it and say, well, it's him or it's him or him? Booms can, but
yes, he can.
But for the rest of us, it's kind of like, how do they work together? which players, because not one person is going to just sit there and go, oh, we go on him. If everybody hates him except one of the front office guys, then you're probably going to be battling over that. So you got to look at it as a group, and maybe it's time to really look at it.
Speaking of battling, Golic v. Zarella, ahead or behind?
Oh.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we'll be back.
All right.
Back here on the tailgate, Ryan Tyler, Bob Golic, Tony Zarella, and Chuck Booms is not here today, but we do have Ryan.
Yes, fellas, it is time for the game show Sweeping the Nation from San Diego, California, all the way to Kennebunkport, Maine, and from Seattle, Washington, down to Key West, Florida, where I will not be meeting up with anybody this time. I'm going to leave the sexual innuendos for Chuck Booms, the expert of that, fellas. It is time for Ahead or Behind. In my hands, 'tis the season. I have the top 17 New Year's resolutions for 2025.
My top 17 or
this is the consensus.
Everybody.
Well, then you better win.
17.
Yeah,
you
no
can't
kidding.
win this week.
Alrighty. At number 8, smack dab in the middle. Spend more time with family and friends. I think I need to do that as well. That's what my mother would tell me. Alrighty. Who would like to go first?
I'm going first.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, Tony.
I haven't won all year. That's my resolution.
Right in the middle at
Bob.
number 8. Spend more time with family and friends. Tony, is getting more sleep ahead or behind of spending more time with family and friends?
Ahead, 100%.
That is wrong. Get more sleep
Different hosts, same result. All
is
right.
number 11. All right, Bob, a chance to take the lead here. Number 8, smack dab in the middle of the top 17 2025 New Year's resolutions. Spend more time with family and friends. Bob,
What?
is reading more ahead or behind of spending more time with family and friends?
Way behind. In fact, I'm surprised it's on the list.
Pat?
Another,
It
you
is
know what?
still
You people are lying.
another softball
You're
for Bob.
lying.
A
There's
tie
nobody
game.
out there who wants to read more as a. It's just it ain't
It's ahead?
possible.
I had it backwards?
It's ahead. Read more's ahead.
No.
All right.
One spot ahead at number 7. All right, Tony, I'll give you a softball this time.
Thank you.
At number 8, smack dab in the middle. Spend more time with family and friends. Tony, is quitting smoking
Oh.
ahead or behind
Ahead.
of spend more time with family and friends? Yes, that is correct.
All right.
That comes in at number 6. I thought it'd be a little bit higher
I thought
here.
that would be higher.
All right,
Yes.
Tony,
So
you
what-
are up
what's the
1-0.
score now?
1-0.
1-0. Okay.
All right, Bob, a chance to tie this ball game. In my hands, I have the top 17 New Year's resolutions of 2025. Right in the middle at number 8, spend more time with family and friends. Is travel more ahead or behind of spending time with family and friends?
Ahead.
Ooh, I'm sorry, Bob. That is one spot behind.
You're over there giving me. You're pointing
tried to
down,
help you. I
But
said-
every time you've done that before, it's been the opposite.
That was in
This is
2024.
like double
I'm not
reverse
gonna-
psychology.
I would
What
never
the
do
hell?
that to you in 2025.
Well, Tony, maybe I'm your good luck charm. Here's your time to take a commanding
on,
lead.
man.
At number 8 in the middle is spending more time with family and friends. Is volunteering more and giving back ahead or behind of spending more time?
I have no faith in humanity. It's behind.
Not many people want to be more philanthropic. Okay.
This is for 2, right?
If you don't get this, you are eliminated, Bob. I'm sorry to tell you.
But if I get it, I get the bonus points. So it's
I'll give it. Yeah, give it 2.
Okay.
And then I'll win it.
Okay. At number 8, the top 17 New Year's resolutions of 2025, spending more time with family and friends. Bob, is learning a new skill or hobby ahead or behind of spending more time with family and friends?
behind.
Bob, I'm so sorry.
What the hell's wrong?
I
with
didn't
you
mean to
people?
trick you up.
What the hell's wrong with these people?
Congratulations to Tony. Rounding
Bob,
out the
good
top
job.
10. Number 1, exercise more. Number 2, lose weight. Go hand in hand. Number 3, save more money, spend less. Number 4, get organized. Number 5, learn a new hobby or skill. Number 6, quit smoking. 7, read more. 8, spending time with family and friends. 9, travel more. And 10 is be more mindful or meditate.
All right. I'm actually
Doing it right now.
Good job, Ryan.
Congratulations, Tony.
Good to be in the win column in 2025. We're breaking down the NFL games.
Now,
Final week
Booms
of the
will be
season.
back
Point
next-
spreads and all.
Yeah, Boomba, is he letting me win?
He might be.
Man.
Stick around. Back here on the Big Play Tailgate as we head into week 18 of the season and some Saturday showdowns, including the Browns in Baltimore. We'll get to that in a second. First, the Bengals and the Steelers. Yeah, and look, the Steelers and the Ravens are playing for the division title. By the time the Steelers take the field, they'll know where they stand. Correct?
Yes.
So that could swing things either way. However, it's the Bengals and the Steelers, and let's get to the picks here. The Bengals in Pittsburgh are giving 1.5. Why is that?
That's a great question. I think the Steelers right now are on a very big downslide. They've had some troubles offensively, and the Bengals are playing really well, but I think it's the defense that is remaining suspect, and I think that's why.
All right, so who you picking?
I am going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think when it all comes together, Joe Burrow will be obviously the best player on the field. The Steelers need to get some things figured out. George Pickens remains a head case. If you saw the interview in the locker room, I don't know how people stand him, especially on your own team, being with George Pickens. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are hot right now. I don't think they're going to get in the playoffs, though, because they need Denver to lose. But I think they're going to end the season on a high note. Joe Burrow will make his case for MVP, even though he won't win it. And Cincinnati will have something to look forward to, but I don't think they make it.
Playing
The Chiefs.
Chiefs, right?
Right.
With no starters.
Who won't play anybody. So
Right. I don't know. We'll see about that. I don't know. I've looked at some numbers. Some of the Lamar and Joe Burrow. And I mean, those guys. Some of the numbers I've seen are huge. Burrow's is like massive. And, I was watching Shannon Sharp, and he makes this comment about who's the best quarterback. And he goes, well, we can't take a guy who lost 8 games and say he's the best at what he does. Well, when you're evaluating quarterbacks, you're not talking about anything, and everybody makes a mistake saying, well, did you get a Super Bowl? It's irrelevant. If you're evaluating somebody on their own, if quarterback can only do so much if guys drop passes. So the numbers that Joe Burrow puts up there are incredible. What he can do is, I don't want to say much better than Lamar, but certainly I think you should be able to easily say he's the best one this year.
So who are you picking?
I'm taking the Bengals.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
I'm taking by the time the Steelers take the field, the Ravens will have the division. So
Yes.
there's no way the Ravens are losing this game to the Browns. So anyway, I'm taking the Bengals. Pat?
At least it's some team with orange.
Yeah, I'm taking the Steelers. I'll take the Bengals, actually.
You're giving the one.
I'll take the Bengals, yep.
All right, cool. I want to get to that Denver game here. We'll never hear this again, probably, at least while Mahomes plays. The Chiefs are getting 11 points, Bob, which is an indication that they're not playing anybody except the backup quarterback, Carson Wentz. So,
which again is I think is a mistake. You're going to get that, then you're going to have a bye, so you're going to have essentially 2 weeks for these starters not doing anything. And I'm just talking from experience and watching guys. And when you get time off, when you start resting, you'll lose the edge. And is it always like that? I don't know if it's always like that, but it certainly is like that a lot. I mean, I was going into the season. I used to, when we went to the 4th preseason game with the Browns, we would pull all the starters out in that 4th game, keep them healthy for the first game. I'd tell Marty, I'd say, hey, let me go play at least half a game. And he'd put me in there because I knew I wouldn't stop whining until he did it.
who are you picking?
Uh,
Chiefs or Broncos?
Broncos?
You're giving 11?
I forgot the question.
I love you. You're giving 11?
No, Chiefs.
All right. I'm taking the Chiefs. They keep it close. The culture is what it is. They're not going to lose by They're going to lose, but I don't think they'll lose by 2 touchdowns.
I'm actually going to go with the Broncos. I think Sean Payton understands that this is going to be maybe one of the few, if only, chances he gets to actually beat the Chiefs. I understand it's against second stringers, but I think a guy like Sean Payton heading into the playoffs wants to go out or enter the playoffs, I should say, on a game where his team looks really good, get some confidence in Bo Nix. And like I said, anytime they have a chance to beat the Chiefs, I think they're going to go lay it on them.
What do you think, Pat?
I'm taking the Chiefs with the points.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
I'll stand alone.
Okay. Niners at Cardinals. Yeah, I mean the Niners are getting 4.5 in Arizona. This is one of those games, I got to be honest with you, unless you really, really, really love football. I mean, why are you watching this football game? And the Niners have had a miserable season, and Brock Purdy's probably not going to play. I take the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'll take the Cardinals as well, although Kyler Murray has been pretty bad the second half ever since Call of Duty came out. That seems to be a common trend for Kyler Murray's career, but they've got nothing going for them. I wonder if Jonathan Gannon's going to get canned after this season. Kyle Shanahan's obviously safe, but I'll take the Cardinals, but I don't feel good about it.
No. And I'll tell you what, and like Tony said, I don't know why anybody would want to watch this. I personally am going to go through the entire Notre Dame season and watch all the games as they go up to win the national championship. But that's neither here nor what.
No, boom.
That could happen.
I'm with you.
So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
Pat?
Bob's going horns down on Texas, but I'm taking the I'm taking the Niners. I think Josh Dobbs is actually playing for a little bit of like a stay in the league type of situation. I'm looking forward to seeing him play, but I'm taking the Niners.
All right, here's a big one before we get to the Browns. The Vikings at the Lions. They're playing for everything. They're playing for everything here. They're in Detroit, and the Vikings are getting 3 points in Detroit, which tells you they're this close, and it's strictly a home field advantage situation for the Lions, right?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about how big this game is. You're going to see a 14-win football team play road playoff games. That's how massive this game is. It's absolutely nuts. The Lions are such a good team. I would imagine the Super Bowl favorites. They're beat up, and the Vikings are playing some damn good football right now. Obviously, the Lions are as well. But Sam Darnold having a hell of a career resurgence. I'm rooting for him as I'm rooting for Baker. I'll take the Vikings to come in here and win this one. Tony, I know you talk about Dan Campbell. I think, and you talk about his decision making. I think this is going to be one of those games where he makes a bad decision on 4th down, and the Vikings go ahead and win this one.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with the Lions. I think that the idea the winner gets a number 1 seed, and will get the time off, which some guys like to do, and the loser goes down to 5th seed.
Yep.
I mean, and that's just a big drop.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. And the 14 wins. How do you get that? But there's going to be some really good matchups. You know, the running game, the offense of Detroit going against the Vikings defense. I mean, I think it's just there's some great matchups where are going to be fun to watch.
So you're taking?
I'm taking the Lions.
I'm taking the Lions. We do talk off camera. I hope it doesn't happen. I love Dan Campbell, and I love what he does. I hope it doesn't happen in the playoffs where he makes that decision where you're thinking, just this one time, take the points. I know what you do. I know how you got here. I don't know that happens in this game, but it wouldn't stun me if it did. In the meantime, I'm taking the Lions. The 3 points, I mean, probably a wash. I think it's going to be that close, Pat.
I'm taking the Vikings. They've got a great run defense. David Montgomery's out. I know Jahmyr Gibbs is great, but David Montgomery would have been really, really helpful for this game. I'm taking the Vikings.
All right, here's the matchup everybody in the world, not just the country, is talking about. The Browns and the Ravens in the Bailey Zappi era, officially kicking off for the Browns. He has 8 career starts, by the way, with the New England Patriots. And the Browns are getting, and you never hear this, 20. And Pat brought up a good point. Even during the winless season, they weren't 20-point underdogs, right, at any point. So I'm still taking the Ravens. Ravens give the points.
Wow. I normally take the Ravens, and that was a theme I did. The Ravens have had some heavy spreads. I believe it was 16 against New York. They covered that, and they covered another 15-point spread. I think the way this game is going to go, I think they're going to get ahead really early. You're going to see Lamar throw a couple touchdowns. I could see it being 17-3 at halftime or 21-3 at halftime. And then I think you sit Lamar the second half knowing that there's no way Cleveland's offense is going to muster anything. It'll be a stalemate the rest of the way through. So I think Cleveland may be a backdoor cover, but I'm not confident about it. But I'll trust Bailey Zappi with my money a little bit.
I'm still going with the Browns on this one because there's a reason. Not just because I played for them. I'm going to go with the Browns because I even in a game like this where they've only won three games the entire season and there's no chance of them coming up and beating them straight up, you've got a bunch of guys who want to come back next season. They want to come, whether it's with the Browns or somebody else, and they're going to go out there and if they don't want to show themselves as being somebody that quits. And so a lot of people will be out there playing hard and trying to get their game up, or at least keep it up, so other teams might be able to see them play. But together as a team, working together as a team, it's going to be hard. But I think they can beat the 20.
Pat?
I'm taking Browns with the points. The earlier we see Josh Johnson, the better, honestly.
All right.
The backup quarterback, Josh Johnson.
Who should be the league MVP and college football playoffs? That and more. Stick around. Tell me I'm wrong. I know you.
You're wrong.
Thank you.
Good
Watching
one,
the Buckeyes just completely in one quarter dismantle Oregon, my entire thought process was, why didn't they do this against Michigan? They clearly can win the entire thing if they employ the players that you can't cover, and we know who they are. When they want to do that, they can beat any team by 40.
Yeah, it was quite perplexing. Jeremiah Smith, I guess, wasn't part of their game plan for Michigan. I'm not sure what that was about. Chip Kelly had probably his worst game calling plays this entire season. And I mean, let me know what you guys think. Is it fair to say that it could just be a mental thing? Ryan Day can't beat Michigan. I mean, sometimes is it that simple?
Well, sometimes those big games take on a life of their own. When we played the Steelers, Brown Steelers, was a true rivalry back then, not just because it was close. So you'll see people get up for it. I was really surprised at how bad they made Oregon look. I mean, Oregon was able to do some things, but they looked like Northern Illinois.
You're throwing to a receiver who could be the #1 pick in the draft. He's that good.
Yes.
He's going to be that good in the NFL. He's built like Chad Johnson, Megatron. I mean, he's incredible. So, I don't know, Ryan, to your point, yeah, I wonder if Ryan Day, I don't know that I guess it's a mental thing. I wonder if he got sucked into game planning to try to beat Michigan. You know what they do well? They stop the run. You know what? We're going to stick it to him. I
mean, this is a guy, Ryan Day, who came out and publicly said that losing to Michigan brought upon similar feelings than losing his father. Mm-hmm. That is an insane statement. And it's,
sick and twisted, man.
It's a really
that's
bizarre,
just, and I guess perhaps it ties into his job security, knowing that if you keep losing to Michigan, you're all but gone. Now he's going to have to win the Natty probably, but it's insane to think that, and most Ohio State fans, I don't want to say most, but a lot value beating Michigan more than winning a national championship.
Now, overall, I don't know about you guys. Until Arizona State came back, I was thinking this playoff system, I get it. I know why you expanded. It's not working. You got to figure. First of all, you shouldn't. The good teams shouldn't get penalized with a bye. And I say penalized. They don't have home field. Mm-hmm. So now they played a neutral site. Whereas maybe if Oregon plays at home, who knows? I don't know. But they can't cover Jeremiah Smith anyway. It doesn't matter. But the point is that these weaker teams that get in have been just shredded until Arizona State came back.
And you're talking about how the system is formatted. You had Oregon, the best team all season, 13-0. Well, they had the toughest second-round matchup against Buckeyes, who could very well be the national championship. They're probably going to be the favorite the rest of the way through. And a team like Penn State, who got an easy matchup in the first round with SMU, and a cakewalk over Boise State, no offense to them, and now you're in the semifinals. It is a completely broken system.
But offense to them, I think, like, okay, look, you're only going to have the juggernauts, and there might be 3 of them, and then you're going to have other teams, and you can't keep, Florida State, people think it's screwed by not getting in last year. But the point is, not everyone's going to be equal. I totally understand it, but there's got to be a better way to set these matchups up. Or maybe there isn't. Maybe you're going to have blowouts because you only have 3 juggernauts.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to go back to what we did in the 70s or 80s? Just have a couple of coaches polls and press polls and just kind of figured if he beats him and they beat them, then you're #1. I think that this is probably the best way to do it. And to be perfectly honest, the games may not have turned out really competitive, but going into them, A lot of those look pretty good.
Okay, I know you're not going to root against the Buckeyes, but I know secretly you kind of want the rematch, Notre Dame against Texas, because you beat them in the 70s for the national title.
Yeah.
So you want to do that again.
I think it would be kind of cool, but being an Ohioan, I would never say something like that.
I will.
You want that?
I'm rooting for Notre Dame, and I think Quinn Ewers has the opportunity to do quite literally the funniest thing ever in beating Ohio State. I think that would be absolutely hilarious for everybody outside of Columbus.
And here's the reason. When I was getting recruited, Penn State was one of the schools that came after me, and I turned them down right away just because they had such ugly uniforms. I mean,
and then you go to the Browns.
White jerseys, yeah. Well, at least we have some color.
You never wanted a logo. I think that's pretty clear.
A white helmet with a stripe down the middle. I'm thinking that's not good. It was like when Indiana came and Lee Corso said, "Hey, I have a deal with a shoe company who can put any kind of design on the shoes that you want." I said, "That's your big selling point?"
Did Jopa come to the house?
No. Oh, yeah. Him the same night that Woody came.
Yeah.
They had a conversation in my driveway.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, and you didn't pick either one.
No, I didn't.
Right? They both left out. Hey, Cam Ward, the Miami Hurricanes, who could be the second or first. What do you think? First quarterback taken? Maybe the second.
I think the second. I think Shador will be the first.
Shuts it down after a half, right? I'm not good with that, and maybe I stand on an island here. If I was a general manager of a team and a player did not play or finish a game because he was trying to not get hurt while his teammates are out there, I scratch him off my list. It's not the kind of guy I want. I don't know Cam Ward. I don't know much about him other than he didn't finish the game. I don't like that, Bob.
Yeah.
You owe it to I'm old. You owe it to your teammates to be out there. What happens if you come to an NFL team and we're on our way to a 3-14 season and you don't want to play the last 2 weeks? You don't want to get hurt.
Yeah. And if you're one of those people that worry about getting hurt, worried about something happening to you in that game, that's why you want to sit out. Might as well get him out of there. I mean, it's not a great team thing, but get him out of there because he's going to end up getting himself hurt anyway because he's going to play timid, like the defensive back said, here, a cat sipping milk at 100 yards. It is, and so they're going to play to a point where they may get hurt. And so, I mean, it's probably better off keeping them out.
What do you think?
I understand the mentality and the thought process of you don't want someone who gives up on a team. You want somebody that lives, breathes, and dies football and will step on that field any opportunity that they have. And it's different nowadays with NIL because college athletes are making money. But I understand the standpoint of you don't want to risk the injury in the second half. You're looking to be a top 10 draft pick, and you want to start that clock in the NFL to the second contract where you get really paid as soon as you can. So I understand where Cam Ward's coming from, but I also understand the thought behind if you're a general manager looking at a player who essentially, yes, I guess, did give up on their team, I can understand the negative connotations that would follow with that.
And we're seeing it right now, and it might not even be his choice in the NFL. I want to talk about Saquon and more, and also who we think should be the league MVP when the tailgate rolls on. All right, back here on the tailgate, we're talking about players sitting out. I don't know that this was his choice. Saquon Barkley's not going to play in the finale against the Giants because he's already hit 2,000 yards. He's a $110 maybe away from the all-time record belonging to Eric Dickerson. Great running back, by the way, as you know. Yep. I don't like it. Guys, I don't like it. I think you give him a half of – this isn't the same as Cam Ward himself sitting down after a half for the Miami Hurricanes. You give him a half. If it's working and he can make history for himself, it'll never go away. He has that forever. Then, in my opinion, you play him. You disagree with that?
I do. I would understand the thought process of going out there if this is something he really wants, and I'd understand you're breaking a record that stood for a long time by one of the best running backs in the NFL to play ever. But there is no I'm trying to think of the teams in the playoffs. There's no other team that if they lost their running back, it would hurt them worse if they lost their quarterback. The Eagles would be worse off this season going forward in the playoffs if they lost Saquon Barkley rather than they lost Jalen Hurts. That's how reliant they are on Saquon Barkley, and the stats will tell you that. Their passing game has been nothing this season to be wowed at, and Saquon Barkley means so much to that team, and if you're Nick Sirianni, something does happen, man, you are having your head on a stick in Philadelphia.
What about, but Bob, doesn't that play into your, I know he's going to sit out, and then he comes back. Does it play into the overly cautious thing where you actually end up getting hurt because you took a week off?
Yeah, and plus, like you made the comment too about whether it was his choice or the team's, and if it wasn't his choice, I mean, look the way the guy plays. I mean, he's a monster out there. I can't imagine that he would personally say, "Hey, sit me down. I want to rest." I think he's one of those guys that wants to run people over until the final whistle, and so sitting him out, I've got to believe that's the coaches talking, but. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't. And the thing is, I don't care. People talk about accolades, and it's just this. People love getting the accolades, but it's not the most important thing out there. But it's nice.
It is nice, and it's not just a Saquon Barkley thing. It's a team thing.
Yeah.
It's an offensive line thing. It's something for the Eagles to really rally around and share. Now, it's not as big as a Super Bowl title. I get it. But I think you at least open the door for him a little bit. You know, that's the 2,000-yard rushing list is longer than I thought, actually. Probably 9 guys on there, right? So it's getting longer. Cool. But this is you'd be at the top.
So is the schedule getting longer.
Well, I understand, but when OJ did it, it was only 14 games. So I know that he did it in, 17 games, 16 games, 17 games. So I understand that. By the way, speaking of Barkley, is he the league MVP?
No, I don't think he is. I think he'll certainly get the Offensive Player of the Year award, and I actually feel very strongly about this topic. Let's boil it down. You have 4 candidates, right? You have Josh Allen, you have Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, and Joe Burrow. I think other than that, you're throwing darts, right? And I think it's Josh Allen. And I understand how great Joe Burrow has been. I understand how great Lamar Jackson has been. And I do think something will play into it of voter fatigue, a 2-time winner already with Lamar. But when you're talking about most valuable player, Josh Allen, what he does, what he means to that offense, not that the other guys don't, his number 1 receiver is Khalil Shakur, okay? He lost Stephon Diggs, lost Gabe Davis. Not only has he gotten better, he's gotten more efficient, he has better stats, and he's leading his team to more wins than the other 2 teams. I honestly think this case is quite simple, that Josh Allen deserves to be the league MVP.
God, the way you break it down is brilliant, honestly. And it doesn't even contradict. It comes close, but it doesn't quite contradict your Saquon argument that if you took him off the Eagles, they'd be finished, because they do have a really good quarterback. If you took Josh Allen off the Bills,
it'd be the Browns. Not that bad, but
they're not going anywhere.
Oh, man.
They got our guy, Trubisky.
Yep.
Right, backing him up.
Yeah.
No offense, but he's not Josh Allen. And this year, he's really cut down on the turnovers, and he's really put it all together.
Yeah.
I can't argue with you. As much as I love Lamar Jackson, I don't think I can argue that.
Yeah, I would. I love the idea of Josh Allen. I mean, we've watched him from the beginning. Hell, we've watched him since the time he got drafted, and the Browns said, "Hey, we should get Josh Allen." Nah, we don't do that. And so we watch this guy, and he's played better and better, and he's really made this Bills team so competitive to the point where you're expecting them to win. They're like Kansas City in the sense that when the game started, it's like, well, probably going to be Buffalo. They win more often than not. So I think he'll go with the MVP. Saquon Barkley, I think deserves. I mean, if they give him the Offensive Player of the Year, I would think that would be nice. But the MVP has to be Josh Allen.
That's kind of like when you get, I don't know, pick a trophy, the Davey O'Brien trophy or whatever in the college football. You're not getting the Heisman. Right? You're getting
Can
this.
I get 2?
You ain't getting that.
Travis Hunter this year.
All right.
That's the case.
But that's so rare.
It is very
right?
rare, yes.
All right, does Josh, how much time we got, Pat? 2 minutes. Does Josh Allen, I know it's not tied into the MVP. Let's project to January and February. We are in January. Does Josh Allen finish the job this year?
Wow. I think he certainly could. I think that if they match up with the Chiefs, I would see them beating the Chiefs. Now, the question is, though, you go back to earlier in the season when the Ravens just absolutely destroyed the Bills. And in the playoffs, it's all about matchups, right? Like, if the Ravens played the Chiefs, of course I'm taking the Chiefs because Lamar Jackson, the history in the playoffs would tell you he doesn't play well, but can't beat the Chiefs. At least I've seen Josh Allen do it, and I understand it's the regular season. But if I'm sitting here talking about Josh Allen being MVP, I could very well see him going to the Super Bowl. Now, whether you're matched up with the Lions or Vikings and winning it, that's another debate.
Yeah, I hate talking good about the Bills because they used to beat the crap out of me. But
Picked the wrong decade.
yeah, no, wrong decade. It still hurts. But yeah, they have become this. They've gone past the whole idea of being a team that could win a big game once in a while. They're, like I said before, they've reached a point where when they go into a game, any game, they're going to be the guy and they're going to be the team. And even if you get to the point where, you know, sometimes in Cleveland, you end up having a dog at some point, and you should be able to beat these guys. Remember, at the beginning of the season, we should be able to beat these people, and we couldn't. Mm-hmm. So Buffalo doesn't do things like that.
I think they get there. Now they play. I think they play either the Lions or the Vikings when they get there. I know no one talks about the Eagles. I just think it's going to be the Lions or the Vikings.
I think the Eagles are way too run dependent. I understand that that's a formula you can use in the regular season, and Saquon Barkley has been tremendous. But when you're facing these playoff defenses and you're one-dimensional, when you're playing a team like the Lions, where if you're not up to a lead early and can run the ball, that's one story. But I don't see them being up early and being able to rely on that run game that heavily.
You know what? And then when we get there, I don't know who I would root for if it was the Lions and the Bills, because I want both of them to have a Super Bowl. Neither has one.
They
Lions
should call
have never
a
gone.
truce and share the trophy. You get it 1 month, I'll get it. You get it on weekends, I'll take it during the week.
You just like pass it around.
Divorced parents.
Hey, it's been a pleasure, boys. Bob,
my pleasure.
Good luck with the Irish.
Thank you very much.
And you'll enjoy. You've been down that road. You won a national title, and I hope you see it again.
Yeah,
All right,
you.
Ryan, good job, boy.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody.